It's times like this that I'm glad that I'm not still living in Arizona. It's often debated what mankind's most important discovery it is, whether it's weapons, automobiles, or the internet. But if you were to ask me, I'd say that it was when man first discovered how to harness the power of fire. It essentially opened the gateway of mankind's potential, be it from cooking meat so that we wouldn't die of salmonella, to forging metals for tools, to some of us becoming generally destructive assholes. Of course, fire is also one of many common themes in video games as well, especially in terms of level design. Fire levels can be especially dangerous even when designed well, but make for some great aesthetic and use of set pieces. Common elements of fire-themed levels include stuff like instant death lava, enemies that use fire to their advantage, and a lot of red, orange, and yellow. Yeah, those colors show up a lot, right? Whether in a volcano, a burning city, or wherever else the producers decided to take our protagonists, when fire levels are done right, they can provide quite an interesting challenge, especially appropriate given the time of year we're at least in the northern hemisphere. You guys down south still have winter right now. Whatever. It's game time! Magma Dragoon from Mega Man X4 is my favorite Maverick in the series hands down, so it only makes sense that his stage, taking place in a volcano, makes for an excellent level. Combining the element with Mega Man X's signature top-notch platforming gives us a stage that will keep you on your toes. Heck, it starts off with you outrunning burning boulders. Yeah, you're gonna be seeing a lot of that. Boulders rolling down the hills, popping out of pits, falling from above. Yeah, it kinda comes with the territory. Oh, and there's jets of lava bursting out of the ground below. Might want to look out for those. The real magic happens, however, in the second half of the level. That's where you find the ride armor, which so happens to be resistant to lava, which means you no longer need to fear the instant death that lava typically provides. Oh, and by the way, you can take it into the fight with Magma Dragoon, and if you're really good, you might be able to beat him with it. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. This is a well laid out level that takes advantage of the fire theme in terms of design and obstacles. Though to be honest, the music doesn't really contribute to the mood all that well. Oh well, I can always superimpose Akuma's theme onto the boss fight if I want, so that counts for something. Fire-themed hunting areas are nothing new to the Monster Hunter franchise. After all, what better place to hunt fire-themed monsters than some place where cold drinks are a necessity to keep you from roasting alive in the portable oven also known as your armor. However, what Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate did with the idea was actually pretty brilliant. Early in the game, around the 2 and 3 star quests, you reach a mining village near a dormant volcano, except that they need the lava for their forging. So you take on some quests in the Sunken Hollow, and eventually you manage to get the lava flowing for them. A couple ranks later, you have quests that bring you back. Except, well, the place has certainly undergone some natural renovation. The fact that the volcanic hollow's design actually ties into what you've done in the offline story, if you've done the offline story that is a genius concept. The general layout is the same as before, with plenty of steps to mount a jumping attack from, as well as some good multi-layered areas to hunt. The difference now is that since lava is flowing around the place, some areas that were safe are now hot to the touch. Unfortunately, the only thing holding this area back is the monster selection is a mixed bag. On the one hand, you have awesome monsters like the Brachydios and the Teostra, and the Ignactor comes back in generations. On the other hand, there's the boring Iodrome and the Gravios and its evil Lancerous subspecies, the Black Gravios, and its bullshit lava lasers. I mean, dude, can you just not? For just 1 minute? Ugh! With long-running franchises, fire is a common level theme, and Zelda is no exception. Heck, Skyward Sword had 2 of them. While the Earth Temple does a good job, especially for an early dungeon, I honestly think that the Fire Sanctuary takes better advantage of the theme. Located at the peak of Elden Volcano, which might I add is active, this is the kind of dungeon that combines great aesthetic and solid design. The Chinese temple-esque visuals are surprisingly colorful and vibrant, fitting Skyward Sword's stylized art direction. As far as how the level uses fire, or more accurately, fire and lava, there are a lot of places where you have to cool the lava to progress. There are places where you have to bring down water drops to create cooled rock platforms to cross lava, places to use water drops to put out flames, and probably the best of all is where you have to harden the lava hand mini-bosses so you can cut them down to size. There's also a place where you need to use the beetle to pick up a bomb and start the lava flow so a platform will move along it. Strangely enough, there's also a good share of underground work to do with your new magma mitts, which would have been more fitting for the Earth Temple, but I digress. If I had to nitpick one thing, it's that having the second fight with Girahim here seems a little out of place. And while we did have a fire boss in the Earth Temple, I still think another fire-themed boss wouldn't have hurt. But hey, at least fighting Girahim again was still fun. A lot of Mario's fire levels are right at the end, typically in Bowser's Fiery Fortress, but Galaxy went whole hog with it. And no, I'm not going with Freeze Flame Galaxy again, that would be a cop-out. Instead, I'm going with the final main galaxy you can access, Melty Molten Galaxy. Now this is a level that takes the volcano theme and fucking hotfoots away with it. Steam geysers, rising and falling tides of lava, miniature suns, meteor storms, hot rocks everywhere, and even a fucking volcano eruption which you actually cause. There's never a dull moment here. The scenery is colorful and yet stark at the same time, fitting the theme especially well. And even though all the planets in the galaxy share the same common theme, there's still plenty of variety in the star missions, and those missions are pretty exciting. You have the mission of getting to the top of a rocky spire while it's sinking into the lava below, a ball mission that's actually lenient enough to not be frustrating, a silver star mission with the aforementioned lava tides, and a simple yet clever boss fight against a fire-powered version of the game's first boss. On top of that, you have the Prankster Comets, which include a hair-raising daredevil run of the stage's first mission. I actually like how a lot of the daredevil runs are handled because you have to be careful with every move or you'll fail. You have to plan your route more strategically to make it to the end. Also, the Purple Coin mission doesn't have a pointless time limit. Thank God! On top of that, the music is probably one of the best level themes in the entire series. Put it all together and you have a level that's just fun and exciting. Odyssey's gonna have a lot to live up to, not gonna lie. Though being able to possess a T-Rex is a pretty good start. You know, of all the possible places for fire levels, it shouldn't be too surprising that volcanoes are the most common. Considering what they're known for, it's easy to fall back on them. As such, it's what the level designers do with them that matters. And considering what the Wonderful 101 does with its levels, well, that's a good sign right there. The game's fifth operation takes place in the lost city of Really, guys? Really? So yeah, an active volcano. Great place for an ancient civilization to build a city, am I right? Also the last place you'd expect to find a reactor that's powering a world-protecting shield. So, what do we have here? In the first area, we have a jungle infiltration into the ruins, where we deal with rising lava tides, magma rocks, and meeting up with Wonder Black and his time bombs. From there, we have a run-in with Vorkin and his ship, actually taking advantage of the lava to attack the ship, followed by actually fighting him, followed by escaping on the glider while dodging lava flows, digging your way through the earth, and Immorta getting annoyed. The second area deals with cooling lava with cold water, fighting enemies on seesaws, Luca getting in the way, a Geth Jerk mech causing lava waves, spike navigation, wall climbing, and Blue being an insufferable hothead pre-character development. These areas have intense hero movie music, combined with some great set pieces and clever puzzles. The story development also serves to hint at some important events to come, but the best part of this level is the boss fight, where you fight that mech from earlier, then proceed to hijack the mech, then fight an even bigger mech in a round of Robot Punch-Out! There's even the Robot Navigator to do the 10 count and everything! I love when video games do exciting stuff like this. If you haven't played the Bayonetta games, you might be shown footage from them and think the stuff that's happening is batshit insane. Of course, in the world of Bayonetta, where witches can summon demons from their hair, batshit insane is just Tuesday morning. But try going to work when the city spontaneously erupts around you. In the third chapter of the game! Boss ain't gonna believe that, you'd probably get fired. God damn it! This chapter, aptly entitled The Burning Ground, is a reminder to leave any expectations of normalcy at home. Oh, yeah, forgot to tell you that the city erupting is how the level starts. Meanwhile, you're dealing with all sorts of angels, like fire-spouting heaven hounds? Can I call them that? Let's call them that. And angel soldiers that are on fire because of course they are. Also, there's a part where you're trying to outrun a wave of lava while avoiding giants. And later, you're witch-walking over another river of lava, complete with a reminder of when Capcom wasn't fucking up half the time.
Dancing is go-go, baby!
I cannot be the only one who wants Beautiful Joe 3 to happen. A couple unforgiving quick-time events later, we find ourselves in an underground chamber of lava-filled catacombs. Yeah, that sounds like great city planning right there, because Pompeii worked out so well. It's also here where we come across the first gateway to Paradiso, because contrast. Quick-time events aside, this is a well-designed and intense level. The design of the level keeps you on your toes, the new enemies provide new challenges, and the use of fire is impressive, both in design and visual appeal. The music is also intense and dramatic, when it's not the sexy battle theme. Funny, I didn't think we'd find something hotter than Bayonetta herself this early in the game. Remember the wise words of Smokey the Bear. Only you can prevent wildfires. Because if you don't, well, you get something like this. Oh my god, the whole savannah's on fire! The once green branches are now crumbling into ashes, we have literal burning bushes, ropes are burning, fire is dropping from the canopies, trees are collapsing into the fires below, tiki statues have burning heads, the very ground bursts into flames from the very touch, even the animals are burning up! Compared to what we had at the beginning of World 3, all the joy is gone, and all that's left is devastation. Just, what the hell happened here? Well, probably what happened in the level before, but just, holy crap! I know the level provides water balloons to put out some of the fire so that you can make progress and find hidden areas and collectibles, but I wanted to put out all the fire, even knowing that it was all for naught. Even having learned of this level before the fact, it was still the kind of level that stuck with me. Even the music was full of despair. Just taking a listen to it tells you that this savannah is 7 kinds of fucked. It's actually kind of heart-wrenching. But not only is this level memorable, it's also a well-designed level, with the obstacles fitting the theme and keeping you on your toes so you can't let yourself be distracted by the horrors going on around you. Also, don't forget, this is Donkey Kong Country we're talking about, so if you're expecting an easy romp through the jungle, suffice it to say, you're gonna get burned. This is what happens when we don't take care of our planet, you strangers in the Alps! Well, Nintendo blew minds and sent wallets screaming for the hills with a starry background and a single number this E3, so how about we remind those who haven't played the Metroid franchise an example of why the fans went crazy in the first place. So grab your Varia suit, don't bother waiting for authorization. Next stop, Norfair. And, wow, the place has opened up quite a bit since our last visit. You actually go through Norfair a few times, each time delving deeper into its deadly depths. Alliteration. Your first visit is just a side trip to grab the high jump boots, but once you beat Kraid and get your armor upgrade, you can venture further into the upper regions. These regions are flooded with dangerous lava, which is too much for even your Varia to handle. The enemies are understandably stronger here, but you should have the reflexes to handle them. And you'll be able to find some awesome upgrades here. These include the Wave Beam, the Speed Booster, the Ice Beam, the Grapple Beam, and the X-Ray Visor. Not to mention the first of 3 bosses you can fight, that being a shoving match with Crocomire. Of course, you'll be coming back once you have the gravity suit, which is not only waterproof, but lava-proof. This is when you descend into the lower depths of Norfair. Here, the caves become ruins, the music becomes even more intense, and you find even more awesome stuff like the item that inspired a website that's slowly been losing relevance. This level is a good example of mixing up architectural designs, with the ruins blending well with the caverns. The music is also intense in both areas, and there's also the wide assortment of collectibles. It also helps that this is where you get to finish what you started with Ridley from the beginning of the game. They say you're too big for Smash? I'll take care of that, you baby-stealing freak! Okay, before we keep going, there's gonna be spoilers for Dust and Elysian Tale ahead, so if you haven't played it, first, you're missing out, and second, skip to the timestamp on the screen. Okay, we good? Good. After the shocking revelations of Dust's origin and purpose, our hero eventually makes up his mind to fulfill his destiny and help lead the Moonbloods to salvation. Of course, this means taking up arms against General Gaius and his legions in a glorious last stand in the game's final stage, the Everdawn Basin. The first thing you'll notice is literal hot damn, these visuals are simply gorgeous. Probably among the best in the game, and considering Dust's visuals up to this point, that's saying a lot. The first part of the chapter takes place in the area surrounding the Moonblood's last stronghold, starting the generators to provide power to the camp and seeking out a missing sentry, meanwhile dealing with monsters like rock beasts and soldiers that are invisible save for cracking electricity. The level design does a good job of testing your platforming skills with strong use of the lava as an obstacle, as well as the Metroidvania-style standard of hidden areas to collect lots of loot. But everything only heats up, both literally and figuratively, once you reach the chapter's second half. Welcome to the war, fam! With the support of the remaining Moonblood soldiers, you make your assault on Gaius' forces, facing the toughest enemies in the game. This area is challenging, but not in any way that seems like bullshit. While this area is more straightforward than most of the areas in the game, it still uses the environment to its fullest. All of your skills, both in platforming and combat, will be put to the test. A lot of the challenge comes from taking on the multitude of enemies that stand in your way, but if you've made it this far, you should be at a high enough level where you should at least have a chance. And can I say that the music is simply majestic? Oh, and the fight against Gaius is hands down the best fight in the game, and probably the only good boss in the game. Well worth putting up with previous gripes, if you ask me. Sonic Generations was a game that tried its darndest to please fans on both sides of the divided fanbase. While a perfect achievement of such an accomplishment could only be considered a miraculous fantasy, it did manage to get a lot of things right. Case in point, imagine one of the most hated levels in one of the most infamous games in the franchise turned into one of the best levels in Sonic. This is how you do a fire level. This is how you do a Sonic stage. Sonic Generations' reimagining of Crisis City is the kind of level that does right everything that its source did wrong. It took the ideas of Crisis City, both in presentation and gameplay, and did them justice in a way that actually shows the kind of potential that Sonic 06 had, and what the source could have been if it were actually the kind of Sonic game fans have been hoping for. As is the standard in Generations, you play as both classic Sonic and modern Sonic. Modern Sonic's level relies primarily on Sonic's blazing speed, depending on quick reactions and split-second reflexes, and the occasional 2D platforming section. You'll be spinning from one thrill ride to the next, dealing with impless enemies and dodging obstacles, only with far fewer glitches than 06. Classic Sonic's level relies on your platforming skills, making precise jumps on enemies and platforms, and trying not to rage when the infamous tornado starts carrying away your goalpost. Both levels feature excellent presentation with vibrant colors and excellent effects befitting the style of the game. Also, both levels have many alternate paths which encourage replaying the levels, especially if you want to get all the red rings. Also, the music. Awesome! When you consider that this originally came from Sonic 06, it's amazing that Crisis City turned out as amazing as it did in Generations. The care that went into this level, both from the big picture perspective to the little pixels, not only make this my favorite fire level, but one of my favorite Sonic levels, period. See, this is what Sonic Team is capable of when they're on point. Kinda gives me hope for Sonic Forces. I'm the Quarter Guy, and if you want me to be perfectly honest, I honestly prefer winter to summer. Reason for that is you can always put on more layers in wintertime when it's cold. Whereas during the summer, you can only take off so many layers before you get busted for indecent exposure. Yeah, I happen to be fluent in the universal language of music. I was just talking with Heavy Metal the other day. He said he was just working on a big project with his buddy J-Pop, and he's got big plans for the weekend with symphonic rock. They are gonna paint the score red, let me tell ya. Next time, Top 10 Video Game Composers. It's game time!